In this module we are going to dive into the recipe module, and we are going to test APIs related to it. So this is the recipe module, and first we are going to test the create recipe API. Here is the dummy data. Let's first clear the database. Okay, I am dropping the table. Now we are good to do. So here is our dummy data, and I am going to send the API the data now. Okay, so the server might be down. Yes, let's start it. Okay, the recipe is created. Let's check in the database. Okay, so the data is inserted. Let's try updating it. Okay, let's first get that data. Okay, now this is our recipe. Updating the data now. Let's test it now. Okay, that will work. Yes, the recipe is updated. Let's check in the database. Yes, the data was updated. Now let's test the list API. Yes, it was updated. So these three APIs are working. Now let's try rating the APIs. Now this particular API includes in the command model, but it's related to the recipe, so we'll test it. So what happens is that the user will be allowed to send a feedback regarding the recipe, and he or she might enter the description and the rating to the API. So let's test it. This rating is will be calculated as the average rating of the recipe. Like if 10 users rate the recipe as 2, then it will be then the total average rating will be total rating divided by number of users who rated the recipe. So when we get the recipe details, then it will be the average rating. So let's test that functionality now. This is the recipe ID that I am commenting on. So I am rating it as 3. That's it. Now let refresh. The average rating is 3. Now second time when it is been rated, I am rating it as 6. So the average rating now will be 6 plus 3 divided by 2. So that becomes 4.5. Now let's test it. Okay. Yes, the rating was 4.5. Now let's test the details API. It should also reflect the same rating. Okay, let's minimize this, and the average rating is 4.5. Yes, so these 4 APIs are working pretty fine. Now there is one a small bug here, because a single user is not allowed to read the recipe multiple times. So I'm going to check on it later when in the later part. So let's proceed with the other APIs for now. So now we are going to test the featured APIs. This is a very simple API which only fetches the featured one. Actually the recipe entity has a flag of is featured, and I'm filtering it accordingly. So it will be filtered accordingly, and that's it. I'm finding it now. Okay, this is not featured. Let's check the update function. Okay, okay, we are not allowing the user to make it featured for now. Just to test, actually this will be controlled by the admin panel, so currently we are not allowing the user to make it featured, but for testing purpose we will do it for now temporarily. So it should make it featured now. Let's update the recipe. Yes, let's check the database. Yes, it is now featured. Let's test this API now. It should contain at least one recipe. Yes, it works fine now. So the last one is the ubuntu and delete recipe. Ubuntu is, as I told before, it takes the uh, smileys, prayers or likes, and accordingly it can decrement or increment the API. So let's test it. I have successfully added the ubuntu, that is prayer. Now if I fire it again, it will be removed, because one user can do it only once. It can toggle, so basically the name of API is toggle. So if I try with another API, another ubuntu, it will be added. Smiley will be added. Now let's try like again, it will be removed. Okay, so that's how it works. Now you can test the number of reactions, number of ubuntus on this API by fetching these details of that API recipe. So basically, yeah, so this is the ubuntu list, and I have given it as a smiley. I have given it as a like. Actually these will be enum constants. It will be, yes, there are all three ubuntus, and that's it for this. Let's test the recipe list now. Yeah, Here we have the like count, smiley count, and prayer count. Actually, this functionality is pending in recipe details. Let's try adding it there also there. So it is not currently returning the count of ubuntus. We should just replicate this functionality over there. It was missed by me, and now I'm going to add it again. So let's check the code of it. This is the okay, this function I have to just add it over here. Yes. Okay, now it should work. It should work. Okay, it will not work right now. I need to do some more changes to it. Now this function basically returns oh, this is another function. We can't use this over here. Let me check. Okay, the set ubuntu function. This is the function we are looking for. Fetch recipes by filter. Okay, now that should have been worked. Fetch recipes by filter. Okay, so we need to basically check the code of this set ubuntu. Now we can check this over here. Fetch recipe. Okay, let's go for it. Fetch recipe. Okay, set. So this function takes the recipes. We need to create another function that sets the ubuntu count to a single recipe. Okay, that will work now. Let me check it once. Yes, we are deleting the list from it now, and modify recipe will be returned. Let's test it over here now. it returns the modified recipe. So set ubuntu for single recipe, and now it should do it. Let's test it now. This count should be also coming over here now by replacing this. Okay, so what went wrong? Let us check. Oh, so instead of, actually what happened is that it doesn't returns the Mongo entity, instead it is returning the JSON entity, this function. So the exception was there. Let's try separating it out. Let's first undo this. Okay, now we should export this function. We can do it over here. Set ubuntu for a single recipe, and that's it. Okay, after having all this done, we can do it like this now. So recipe equal to we don't need to write of it, as it is a synchronous function, and that should work now actually. Set to ubuntu for single recipe, that should work now. Yeah, it was successful. The ubuntu list is gone and the count, we are getting the count now. So that's working, and so we tested all the APIs, and there were some bugs that I solved real time, and yeah, we are okay with the recipe module. Next we'll be going towards the comments and reactions, and then we are done with the testing. So that's it for this video.